One Punch Man Chapter 111, straight fire this week from One Murata as usual. And as Doctor Strange would say, we are in the end game now, because after this point, every chapter from now on is just going to be pure insanity. Like, this is what this whole saga has been boiling down to. The S-Class versus the Executives. And this is why Giro Giro has been so confident in feeling that she is going to defeat the S-Class here and literally inviting them to come down and challenge them, because she feels that she's cultivated a force of monsters capable of taking them down. And this is the first time, other than like Oketsu and Elder Centipede and Yan and all the other executives that we've seen, that it might actually be true. Like, these guys might actually be living up to the hype here, and they might be too much for the S-Class. But enough hype. Let's get into it. So it starts off with Child Emperor successfully escorting Waganma to the surface, and I'm surprised by this. In the previous review, I thought maybe they're going to run into some problems here, like something was going to happen and maybe Waganma was going to be like recaptured or something. I didn't think anything like violent was going to happen to Waganma, because, you know, he's a child, and we know how One and Murata feel about kids in this series. They are very respectful towards them, and I don't foresee anything really bad happening to them other than like Child Emperor, but he's like not really a kid. I mean, only by age. He's probably the most mature character in this series, or at least probably the most mature hero. I mean, I was at least hoping that like Tario was gonna wheel kick him or something, but it doesn't look like that's gonna happen, and he's gonna be getting off scot-free here. But at least he's kind of acknowledging that he's a scumbag in this chapter, so I guess that's better than nothing. But then after that, they're like, wow, Child Emperor is really amazing. Yep, his abilities are excellent. And if you're thinking about it, he really is. I mean, he just went in there and accomplished the mission pretty much by himself. So yeah, kudos to Child Emperor. And I really like the follow-up panel here when we just see his face when he's like, I don't have time for your crap anymore. He's like, you might think so, but only because you were not there to see it. It was a very close call. He's pretty much saying like, look, dude, I had to fight one of the strongest monsters ever and defeat him by myself, and that wasn't even like the tip of the iceberg here. So then he activates the communicator and relays to the other S-Class heroes that are like, hey, mission is accomplished. I mean, the first part of the mission, of course. Their other motive for going down there is like exterminating the Monster Association. Like, that's not going to change just because they have Waganma. And to my genuine surprise, they actually responded to him. I did not expect this to happen at all. I thought he was just going to try to contact them, and then there was just going to be radio silence, because they didn't really seem like they were going to be competent with this thing at all. But hey, it's nice that they're getting some camaraderie here. So the first one we see respond is Zombie Man, and I'm sure the Korean community loved this moment, because like for some reason the Korean community has shipped Child Emperor and Zombie Man. I'm not going to touch on that too much, of course, but oddly enough, like the official like art that we get from One Punch Man, like whether it be like from a volume or some promotional art or something, for some reason Child Emperor and Zombie Man are together in like multiple instances, and this caused the Korean community to ship them, and you can imagine all the fan art that has come out as a result of that. So the next one to respond is a My Mask, and this is awesome. It's always nice to hear from him. And he's like, the monsters are no big deal. I will continue to carry out justice. And this is typical of him, of course. Like, he feels that this is going to be a cakewalk because he low-diffed Super S. But as we've seen, that you're not really going to low-diff the executives. At least Atomic Samurai isn't. So then Pig God, we hear from him. He's like, good job, nothing out of the ordinary, currently digesting, because he just came off of eating the Great Food Tub, but I'm sure he was eating more guys after that too. And then Atomic Samurai, who's, you know, seems to be technologically impaired, is able to activate this, but he's letting them know that Tario is down there. Now, of course, he doesn't know Tario, so he's not naming him, but we, the readers, know it's Tario because scumbag Waganma left him down there and didn't tell Child Emperor about it. Like when Child Emperor initially saves Waganma, he asks him if there's anyone else down here, and then Waganma gives him that smug, affluent look, like, no, nobody but me. So at least we're, you know, finding out that the S-Class heroes are aware that Tario is down there, so someone is going to try to go save him, because, you know, Tario's a cool character, and he's kind of like Garo's little brother, so, you know, he's like our little brother at the same time. But yeah, so this is more motivation for Child Emperor to go back in there. I mean, he established in the previous chapter that he was going to go back into the Monster Association to just simply help out the S-Class heroes, but now he has more of a goal than just simply being support. He's going to go down there and try to get Tario, which is cool. But then we get kind of like an uncharacteristic moment from Second Guard here, or maybe we're possibly seeing Second Guard's true colors. because he's like, you look exhausted. The priority of rescuing Waganma has already been completed. You should probably consider retreating for now. And then, of course, rightfully so, Needlestar butts in. He's like, yo, suit guy, you just don't get it, do you? All lives are equally valuable, yo. And that's awesome. Needlestar is one of the coolest heroes, and we get some hope from him at the end of this little sequence where he's like, S-Class, even though I want to become one of them one day, man, there's still a long way to go. So more hints dropping here that the support team members might eventually become S-Class heroes one day, and I really hope this comes to fruition, especially Needlestar. Like in the next, or should I say after like the next 2 arcs, hopefully he's strong enough or just eventually graduates to become an S-Class hero by that time. But back to Segengar, we're just kind of seeing that like the bottom line for him here is just supporting the Hero Association. So his values more align with like the executives, and oddly enough, Metal Knight, because Metal Knight actually wanted to take it one step further. He didn't even want to go and rescue Waganma. He just wanted to straight up carpet bomb the Monster Association, which is of course the pragmatic way to go about things, but also, you know, the sociopathic way. So then we see Child Emperor actively going back to the Monster Association, and he just becomes like CJ from San Andreas there. He's like, oh, here we go again. But then the support team's like, let us help you. And he's like, nah, that's not necessary. We should stick to our own tasks. He's like, look, dude, you guys are cool, and I'm glad that you're here, but you're, like, going to die instantly if you go down there. Like, these guys are way beyond your pay grade. So then we come to the second portion of the chapter, and we're picking up where 110 left off with the confrontation between Atomic Samurai and Black S. And I love the way that Murata did this, and this is more or less like a panel-for-panel recreation of how this goes down in the webcomic. So well done. I mean, of course, as expected, and definitely worth the wait, at least in my opinion, and it's been quite the wait for sure. But for those of you who are only reading the manga, we're finally seeing what Black S is all about. This guy's abilities have been such a mystery for the longest time because he's just been this like little unassuming dude, crudely drawn compared to the other masterpieces that Murata does. But he, oddly enough, gets the most dialogue and most hype. You know, outside of the ones who have already died, of course. So it turns out his name is pretty applicable to his abilities after all. Because, you know, he's like gloopy and globby and malleable. And there are many of him, you know, kind of just like what his name implies. You know, if you're going off of the definition of it from the dictionary, at least. But he's taking this ability that we've seen before in other, you know, battle manga villains and whatnot. I'm sure Majin Buu is coming to mind here. But he's taking it to the next level because he's able to, like, form himself, as we saw, into, like, that huge, like, Hulk fist arm. But then, like, if you cut that off, that doesn't even matter. He can just form that into, like, another version of himself while still retaining his form and having multiple copies of him and himself. Like, this is a terrible matchup for Atomic Samurai here. Like, we saw a glimpse of Atomic Samurai's weakness, more or less, against Melzergard, because he couldn't really take care of him in the beginning of the series in Season 1. Like, he kept slashing him down, but Melzergard as well, had a regeneration ability, and that was kind of stopping Atomic Samurai for getting the job done here. However, the weakness that Melzergard had with the regeneration marble, if you snap that, he's pretty much done. Not so much with Black S here. He's just going to keep coming back, but he claims to have unlimited copies of himself. You know, it remains to be seen if that is true or not, but it certainly seems like there is no end to Black S here. And he says it very well himself. No matter how you cut or tear me, how you strike, crush, twist, I'll just keep multiplying. So, in a crazy, one of the most powerful moves in the series, the Atomic Slash, is nothing here. If anything, it's actually helping him because you're just forcing him to multiply and just spread around you. And while I commend Atomic Samurai's confidence that he has here when he's like, I'll just have to shower the countless number of you with countless slashes to win, we're seeing that, yeah, it doesn't really matter. No matter how many times you Atomic Slash this guy, he's just gonna keep coming back. And it's actually kind of like a nerve-wracking moment here because this is honestly, I think, the first time that Atomic Samurai has really been in danger so far. Like I was saying in like the previous reviews, Atomic Samurai has been a pretty dominant character up until this point. But now we're seeing that he's very vulnerable when he is at having a bad matchup here. And if anything, this is the worst matchup, like I said. Because by the end of this chapter, he is literally surrounded by the Black S's. Like, they're just taking up the whole entire vicinity here. Like, he's like in a world of Black S. And they all have like these hilarious faces. And then the chapter ends when he's like, it's over. This will be your deathbed. So, of course, we have, cliffhanger ending. It seems like Murata and One have been having fun with these cliffhanger endings. And it feels like they might be taking, like, more of a bi-weekly approach to this. Because before, the releases have been kind of spotty. Like, sometimes we'll get, like, this really long chapter that has, like, a beginning and end to it. It, ends with finality and whatnot. But lately, it's kind of just been, like, taking a, more like a Shonen Jump release approach. To where they're just leaving you on the cliffhanger because they just want you to come back in the 2 weeks and just be amped for that. Rather than just giving us, like, a monthly release or a every 3 week release or something. So I hope we stay on this pace. Like, consistent releases every 2 weeks, because that's really how you keep the audience engaged, at least, based off of the reception that One Piece, My Hero, all of the other shonens get. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the chapter, and things are looking really bad for Atomic Samurai here. Like, he is visibly worried in the final page here. So I ask you, who have not read the webcomic, all of you manga-only guys out there, let me know what you think is going to happen here. Do you think Atomic Samurai can pull this one out? And also, who else do you want to see take on the executives? Or should I say, what matchups do you want to see? And if you liked the video, please give it a like. I also have a Patreon, gives you access to a weekly Q&A video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day, everyone. I'll see you in the next one.